Okay, in the previous part of the series, we left off after uploading a file. So we have the ability to upload a file. And then when we get returned to our files list page, we get a flash message saying that we uploaded our file successfully. So in this video, what we're going to focus on is being able to delete and being able to download our files. And let's go ahead and return to the editor. And inside of our files template, the ability to delete the files, that's going to have to go inside of our table. So what we're going to do is create an extra column. And this is just going to be an empty th element. And then inside of here, we're going to add a new form element. We have to do it inside here because when we're looping through the list of files, we'll have access, we'll create a button to delete a single file. And set up a new form. We'll give it a class of delete form. And so in our action, we can use the URL for method. And we'll just have to create a new route of delete. And we're going to need a new input tag. And we're going to make this a hidden field. And the reason why we're creating this is to pass the key. We're going to need to know what key in order to delete the file. And we're just going to apply f.key using server-side templating to set the hidden value of the element of the hidden tag. Now let's create a new button. And this is going to be a type of submit. And let's just give it a class of, and we'll give this a button danger. And we want this to be really small. We don't want this to be very big. And we'll call it delete. So this is going to look kind of tacky, just having a button that says delete just in every single table row. So one better option will be to import Font Awesome. That'll give us basically a nice set of icons to add to our page. And so we're going to go here to Font Awesome. We'll go up to Get Started. Okay, so what we're going to use for this is web fonts with CDN. It's just going to be some styles that we import. Actually, I could just copy the code over here, and then let's go back to our editor. So what we're going to need to do is to put this in the head tag. So we're extending the Bootstrap base from Flask Bootstrap. So let's create a new block element. And so what we need to do is call super. Otherwise, we're going to overwrite everything that's in the head tag. Actually, we need to add head to, we know what block is for. If we call super, we're going to load everything, and then everything down here is going to be appended to our head tag. Whereas if we don't include super, it's going to wipe everything out and just put in what we added. Okay, and then adding the two style sheets, that's going to give us Font Awesome, and then now we can go ahead and implement it. Okay, so if we scroll back down to where we created our submit button, we can just get rid of this delete. And so we can create an icon using the I element. So we want FA, then FA-trash. Okay, and then so the next thing that we have to do before we can view our page is we have to add this delete route. So I'm going to go back to app.py. And so just like the other one, we're going to only accept post. Okay, so since we passed the key in using a hidden HTML tag, We can get that from our request. Actually, request.form. And so we can just copy this again. So we have our S3 resource and our bucket. So with our buckets, so we need the object again. And so what we need to do is pass in the key and then call the delete method. And so we're going to send another flash message. And we'll just say file deleted successfully. And like in the upload method, we're going to return the redirect. And so we should end up back on our files page. So if we go back to the browser, so we can go ahead and refresh this. Actually, we have to start up our application. Let's do that. Okay, so here is our button that's going to be in every single table row. And if I just click on one of these. Okay, so it looks like our file got deleted and we did get the flash message. Okay, and the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to download, do the same thing in order to download a file. Okay, let's return, actually I need to be up here. Let's return back to our files template. So just like this, we're going to add another form element. In fact, I'll just copy this. And actually we'll call this download. And so just like before, we're going to pass the key in. We're going to need the key once again. And the hidden HTML tag is going to be the simplest way to do it. And instead of having button danger gives us a red button. Let's just change this to button default. And then change this to download. Okay, so returning to app.py. Let's just create another route. Yeah, we want to restrict this to the post method again. So this is all going to be the same. We need our key and then our bucket. And once we have that, what we need now is the file object. So once again, my bucket.object, and then we're going to pass in the key. And then we're going to call the get method. Now there's also a download file method. However, that's useful if we were just running like a command line thing or just storing it to a local file system. In this situation, what we're going to do is read it in memory, then we're going to stream it to make it downloadable. So our next step, we're going to be using the Flask response object. So we need to import that. Let's go back to the top of our file. Okay, so we've imported response. And so we can set up a return statement, return response. And so we're going to need several items in here. So we're going to need the file object. So the body is going to be the contents of the file. And we need to call the read method. And we need to set a MIME type so it doesn't try to load it in the browser. It'll just tell the browser to download it. And let's set this right now to text plain. So that, I mean, if we're inclined, we can make that dynamic. Like if it's a PDF file, the MIME type would be application/PDF. But setting it to text/plain, even though we're downloading images in this example, that should work to just tell the browser to download the file. And we also need to set the headers. So we'll set the content disposition. So attachment, then we need to set a file name. And then, so we're going to set the file name using the key, which is the same as the file name. Actually, what I wanted here was curly braces, not the brackets. Okay, so if we return to our page, we should be able to see our... Okay, let's go ahead and stop the server and rerun it. We had that syntax error. It may have gotten stuck. Okay, so we do have both of our buttons here. However, they're stacked on top of each other. So we're going to need a little bit of CSS to fix that. Okay, so let's return back to our template. And then inside of our parent TD tag, inside of our table cell, let's add a new class. And we'll just call this td-buttons. So we can add some styling to this. Let's create a CSS file. So in the root directory of our project, we're going to create a new folder. We'll call this static. And then we'll add a new file. We'll call this styles.css. And so we need our class td-buttons. And then we'll just add. So we're actually going to style the form element inside that parent tag. And we'll set the display to inline block, which basically means if there's room left to right, it'll display them inline. And if the container gets too narrow, then it'll go back to being block. Currently, it's just block only, which is why the two buttons are on top of one another. Okay, so we can close that. So what we need to do is include our new style sheet. So let's go back to the top of our template, and then inside the head block, we can just add a new line. So it is a style sheet, and then we use static. Okay, so if we save that and run it, the new style should be applied, which it is. So now this is looks a little bit better. They're to the left and right of each other. Okay, so at this point, we can go ahead and try and download one of these. Okay, looks like we have a mistake here. So file loaded in the browser initially. So if we add these semicolon, that should fix it. So let's return to our browser once again. And let's try re-downloading. Okay, so now we got notification from our browser that we downloaded the file. Let's go ahead and open up Finder. And yeah, that's our photo. So in this video, we covered deleting and downloading files from our S3 bucket. Thank you for watching.